All right, timeline jumping and spiritual psychosis. Timeline jumping. My view on what timeline jumping is, and I'm a psychic. If you haven't looked at my channel and stuff like that, I've been seeing timeline shifts in a lot of detail. Like I feel like I've been living them out a lot of it actually. For like weeks, every time I've been going to sleep, I've been timeline jumping to see how to handle certain situations, things in my life that are going to happen, but I needed to see certain ways to handle it. Specifically, if you watch my other videos about having 5 husbands, a lot of the timeline jumping has been basically how to handle it because a lot of it was very trial and error. Like we got excited about the situation and then just jumped into it without a firm foundation and didn't really have like very many boundaries or guidelines. And I also saw some things that obviously 5 husbands, something weird had to have been going down. I saw like for the most part it was like a really happy marriage and everything. That there was like a little drama fest that happened that did not need to happen, but I see why it did. And so the timeline shifts I kept getting shown was the situation, but then when it was like I felt it was almost like lucid dreaming while I was in it and I kept having the same timeline shifts. I was like, okay, I need to change this. How about if I do this instead? And then I would see the whole dynamic play out differently. And I just realized, okay, timeline jumping. It literally is just the consequences of your own actions. It's literally like if you do A or B, you get C. If you do this and this is what it is. But the difference with it being like a timeline jump is like you see it and you feel it like very, very physically. Like for me, I've been like I'll go to sleep and specifically the timeline of me having 5 husbands, it's just a really weird dynamic because even with that, there was another timeline where I only had 4 husbands because I I wasn't upfront really about like I don't know, I didn't one of the fifth husband thing was a bit complicated. And so I was like I don't know if I should just like let it happen or tell people or like what should happen. And so I got to see both timelines on if I was upfront about it and not. Um, Being upfront about the situation ended up with me having 5 husbands. Not being upfront about it and just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens made them be like, no, you're only going to have 4 husbands or we're going to divorce you. Like, that's what's up. So, stuff like that. This is just like a quick video, I guess. Oh, wait, I was going to talk about spiritual psychosis also. My idea of what spiritual psychosis is too many timelines. You see too many timelines, so you don't know what's good, what's bad, like what's up, what's down, what's real, what's false, what's 3D reality, what's 5D reality. And I feel like that's how people end up with like schizophrenia and stuff like that. I think it's like a lot of timeline shifting or precognition or past life regression issues because we get told that none of this is real. Like, even I'm sure if you've made it this far in this video, I'm sure there's some of you who are watching this like, oh my god, she's so crazy and da 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 da. It's because we got that drilled into our head that humans don't have like 90% of the abilities that we actually do. And so what I think spiritual psychosis tends to be like if you I used to work in a prison and there's always people in there who are always like, oh my god, like I'm Jesus and da 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 da. Um and I've had a lot of reincarnations and stuff too, so I know for a fact that I sound like that. But I think a huge part of it is I noticed a similarity with a lot of those prisoners. Uh, Honestly, I think they might have had spiritual abilities, but then they were in karmic families and were abused or just had crazy stuff happen, and it just results in schizophrenia and spiritual psychosis and all this other stuff. Uh, we don't really take into account spirituality when it comes into medical things. So it just becomes spiritual psychosis. And it's really difficult. I wish more, not I wish, it's happening now because the age of Aquarius. But I'm happy we're having more of these conversations because I've had so many things happen in my life and in past lives because I was never told that we can timeline shift, we can past life regressions are weird, real, like time travel and stuff is real. And it totally messed up a good chunk of my life. for example, look at my other story time of me fucking my sister. Like it's like a lot, okay? So I know this video is just like really random, but I'm just gonna start filming videos of just like whatever's coming to my mind because this is trial and error too. Because we've had how many hundreds and hundreds upon thousands of years of people trying their hardest to make us think that humans don't have magic, we don't have abilities, reincarnation's not real, there's no life on other planets, aliens aren't real, all this stuff. And it is affecting us negatively because we have so much poverty in the world. We have so many mental health issues just floating around in the world. Just, and a huge chunk of it doesn't actually need to be happening whatsoever. We just need to just stop letting ourselves get lied to in a way. I'm just going to end this video here. But please look up other timeline jumps or timeline shifts, physical things I've noticed. You'll be when I shift timelines, I I'll get very physically, spiritually, mentally just completely drained and exhausted. It almost feels like I'm high, like this weird, just things like are different. There's like a lot of weird Mandela effect things that pop up. For example, I have been needing help with this one little simple thing for so long it's ridiculous. Um and it was just literally I needed somebody to look for um the letters G and S in a fireplace. Literally just wipe the back of the fireplace down and look at some letters. That is all I needed. Literally just that. And it hasn't been happening. And so I literally like prayed to like the Lord to let me timeline shift to try to put in like weird Mandela effect things. Like there's a company that makes products that a lot of like my friends and their friend group uses, and I was able to timeline jump to change it so the name of like the initials are GS to try to spark the memory of them being like, oh yeah, I remember that one random chick was asking for me to look for a GS in a fireplace. Oh, maybe I should do that. And I know that sounds really extreme, but again, every human can do this sort of stuff. We just get lied to and told that it's crazy and it's never going to happen. And it works because people don't want to believe in anything outside of themselves or really like check themselves or anything like that. It's complicated, but I'll just leave it at that.